But welcome everyone, and again, I look forward to sharing Galileo Search with you today. Going to start out just by kind of giving you a background on and an agenda on what we'll be covering during the session today. We've created new means to log in for Galileo, and we're slowly working toward getting every Galileo library enabled with single sign-on, and that has been a slow process. But part of the changes that we've made to the Galileo login page reflect that move to single sign-on, and we want to make sure that we give everybody good direction on how to use the Galileo login page and the new Galileo Wayfinder. I'll talk about general navigation on the page and show you some of the tools that we've added to help users to begin to navigate when they're using Galileo for the first time. We'll talk about the K-12 views. That's one thing that we have retained for K-12 Galileo as part of the redesign. In the past, we just had the different K-12 views, elementary, middle, high school views sort of listed across the bottom. And what we've done now is we've made those show up at several different points and pathways along the way so that you can toggle between those views when you first log in or when you first see the site, or you could toggle between views if, for example, you were using the elementary site and then you decided, well, there's a resource that I know is in middle school that I want to use because this child is doing really well with this and I want to show them this resource, then you can toggle between the different views. Pardon me, the database search and Spotlight are two new features that we've added. The database search is available in all views with the exception of the K-12 view, but pardon me, the K-5, the elementary view. We were specifically asked to just do a database list for K-12. Pardon me, K-5, just because it was going to be a little bit easier for them to navigate, but we'll see all that in action and talk about that. We'll look at our database lists and in our different views so that you can see how we've organized the databases for just searching, finding, locating databases that you're looking for specifically. We'll talk about the options for Galileo support, what we've done there in terms of updating our support articles, our FAQs, and our support forms. And I'll talk with you a little bit about Galileo, the About Galileo pages, our governance and policy information, and also our tools and training information as we go through. So that's what we're going to cover. I'm going to go ahead, as I mentioned, and just cut straight to live demo. That way you can see the page in action. We're experiencing a little bit of slowness on the page, and we're working to speed it up as we speak. Our developers are continuing to work on that. But if there's a brief pause when you're waiting for something, that is sort of expected right now. But do note that we're working to improve that, hopefully by the time the school year officially begins. So Mike, if you could just let me know, I'm working toward it right now, but if you'll let me know when you can see my browser and see the Galileo welcome page.
Yep, I can see it.
Thank you so much, Mike. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit larger so that you can see it a little bit more clearly. So this is the new Galileo landing page that I mentioned. I just want to cover some things sort of step by step here, top to bottom. The Galileo logo, as always, will take users back to the Galileo page that they were on previously. In this case, it'll just kind of reload the portal page, login page. If you're logged into Galileo, it'll just take students back to that main page. We've added this What's New, which is a walkthrough that just kind of walks people through our new features. So what's new? If I click on that, it tells me that I can search for my institution. So we've made logins. You can still just log in with the Galileo password, but you can also log in specifically with your institution. And eventually this will support single sign-on for everybody. And I will show you what that looks like both ways so that you can see as we go forward. But just to kind of show you that we've added this what's new feature. And when we log in, I'll show you that we actually have it there as well. So we have two options for logging in. You can find your institution and log in, or you can just simply enter the Galileo password. When we take a look in more detail at the Galileo Wayfinder here in a moment, I will tell you more about some of the other advantages that you see here, but you can kind of see it evident already. It remembers where you logged in from. It sets a cookie. So for example, if you're affiliated with Henry County Schools, I'm using Henry County Schools, I always like that one because it's an easy password to remember. You guys have a great password right now. But in any case, it remembers those previous logins. So if I'm a Henry County School Media Specialist, but I'm taking an online class via UGA for professional development. So I have a couple of different ways I can log into Galileo. It remembers the different ways that I've logged in. The last 5 ways I've logged in, it'll have a list of 5 institutions. I only have 3 in there right now, but it'll remember that so that I don't have to search for my institution the next time. I can just click on it and go. So let me go ahead and share with you what I mean. My child is affiliated. These buttons here will take you back and forth between the different, it will sort of reduce the amount of schools or institutions that you have to look through, but you also have the all option. But if I want to narrow down just to looking at K-12 schools, I click on K-12. My daughter goes to Malcolm Bridge Elementary School, which is an Oconee County school. And when I choose that school, it just presents me with the password page. As I mentioned, in the future, it will present me with a single sign-on option. But from there, I can just go ahead and enter the password for her school, which is the same for the system. We're still authenticating at the system level for schools. But one thing I wanted to point out to you about the Wayfinder here, and again, another advantage we gain from this by having those individual schools in there instead of just the system, if we can, and we've worked really hard to identify the types of schools that are listed, if we can identify the specific school as elementary, we will set it up so that Galileo, when you log in via that Galileo password or in the future with single sign-on, routes them specifically to the elementary page in this case. So I've landed here because I chose a specific school. I've landed on the elementary school page. More on that in a bit, but just kind of a preview of some of the things that we've done there that will be beneficial to you all when you use the Find Your Institution option, or the Galileo Wayfinder as we've called it, to log in. As I mentioned before, if you know your password, you can log in simply and easily, just as you always have. But note, because I am using just the password, I'm using a general password for the system, which everyone uses, no matter what school they're at. But because I use that system level password instead of using the Wayfinder, now it gives me the option to choose. This will also be what happens if you are on campus and authenticated automatically into Galileo. Every time the student hits the page, they'll choose the view for their particular school type. So that way we can manage this easily, have these different views available, and also you can toggle back and forth through each one. Just a little bit about the views. We wanted to have custom images for each view: elementary, middle, high schoolers. We got some feedback from high schoolers who said, we just want the same thing as adults have, although we may do something more in the future with that high school view. And then finally, an educator view, which is a new view that we've added, which gives access to all the Galileo content that you have access to as a K-12 educator. But we also, I'll share with you a new feature that we've added in a few minutes called the Galileo Spotlight. And what we've included in the educator view spotlight area are resources that are specific to helping educators find materials that they need. So professional development articles or lesson plans or other things. So that's what it looks like. And from here, I can choose a view. And in just a few minutes, I will go in and work with you to choose all the views. I'll start with the educator view just to show you the general features that apply across the Galileo community. And then we'll dig into the different views, the elementary school, middle school, and high school views, so we can talk a little bit about the subtle differences that you'll find on those pages. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the educator view. And again, this is full access to everything in both the EBSCO Discover search. So this is searching most of the Galileo databases, if not all the Galileo databases that you have access to with one search, as it is always done. And the advanced search is here as it was before. So that is what you'll see there on the Educator View is pretty much the standard Galileo page and the standard Galileo search. As I mentioned previously, the what's new is here, just as it was before. And I want to show you one more thing with the what's new here now that we're on a K-12 page. So it's going to continue to tell me everything about the different features of Galileo. We're going to see a couple of features that we haven't yet. The advanced search and the discover search, the way that resources are sorted by subject and type, which we'll dig into more in a few minutes. All the databases, we have an all databases list on every page so that students can find all databases they have access to. We have an all journals list, so if you're looking for a specific publication, you can find that publication. And you can also use the database search, which we've improved greatly, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. The In the Spotlight area that I mentioned before, note that this area is customized, and you can customize this yourself, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But the Spotlight area, our support area is on here. But we wanted to make sure that everyone, the last thing that you see on here is how to change views. So we have here, need a view that's right for you, change your view to elementary, middle, or high school to get resources designed just for you. And we have a note for teachers, the Educator View is there to support your planning and professional development. And then I can click done to be done with that, what's new pop-up. So just as I mentioned, you can change views here just by clicking on change view. It'll give you that same modal window that we had before that gives you the option to toggle between views. Before I spend more time on views, I do want to address down the page the options that you have and some of the changes that we've made to Galileo generally. In the databases by subject area, we have reduced the total number of subjects available greatly because that was one of the major complaints that we got, was that we just had too many subjects, particularly for K-12, to use effectively. We'll still continue to do more work on this, but we have trimmed down the number of subjects that we've used and mapped old subjects to our new subject structure. So this is the databases by subject area. It lists them alphabetically, the first four that come up in the list. And if I click on view all subjects, it gives me a list of every subject that is in in Galileo here. If I'm looking for a specific subject like chemistry or colleges and universities or computer science, I can click there and get to those specific subjects. And the next button, there's a previous and next that lets me toggle through the subjects. So we've also, in our subjects, you'll notice that another way, we have the views obviously, but resources that are designated specifically for high school, elementary school, are listed as a subject as well. So we've kind of fleshed out these subjects a bit so that we can sort resources by type when we do a search, and I'll share that with you when we see the database search in a few minutes. So that is what the subject list looks like and a little bit about how it was derived. On the other side, we have the different databases by types. So if a student is, for example, specifically looking for an encyclopedia, I'll click on View All Types here. And much the same, I have that A to Z sort. I didn't mention the numerical sort on the other page, but it does just that. If you want to see kind of what you have the most of, it'll sort your material types numerically by the number of resources in that material type. Going back to the A to Z sort, here in my search for an encyclopedia, I have 16 different options listed under encyclopedias here. I click on that. For some reason, it wants me to choose a view. I'm going to choose the Educator View. Ooh, I don't know what happened there, Mike. That was new to me. Sorry about that. Yeah, we might have found a little bug, but I'll take note of it if you will. But in any case, here are the encyclopedias that many of you are used to using: the Animal Kingdom, Britannica Fundamentals, Britannica School, the different divisions of Britannica, elementary, middle, and high. But I am in that Educator View, so I'm seeing everything. We've trimmed down those lists in the normal, in the kids' views, in the K-12 view, and the middle school view, so that the resources are a little bit more oriented to them specifically. Going back to Galileo search here, that's again the databases by subject and the databases by type area. Next one I will share with you that it's a feature on all the Galileo sites is the Galileo databases by search. We've had a database search previously, but this is an improved version of that. The lists of databases that you get from this search, as well as the list of databases that you get from the subject searches, are much better now. They provide faceted searching as well, and I'll show you what that means in just a minute. But I can go into the Galileo databases by search by database type, and I can type in a subject type or name. So if I'm looking for encyclopedia, and I can do that search, and it will list those encyclopedias for me. What I meant earlier when I was talking a little bit about facets is one of the things that we've added over here is the ability to limit your search once you've done a database search to types. So I want specifically an article database or an encyclopedia, or I want specifically to find things that are oriented to a specific subject. Oh, this is appropriate for high school. I can do that here on the facets page. One of the things that you don't see, and I'll talk about this in just a minute, is an A to Z list of databases with A, B, C, of course, listed at the top. We will add that back eventually. That's something that people have asked for right away that we didn't include. We thought that since we included the database search that wouldn't necessarily be something that people would want to use anymore, but we were wrong. People definitely want that A to Z listing of databases alphabetically. And we will provide that. There is an A to Z list, but it doesn't have that toggle between the letters that people like and people are so used to using. So that is the database search. Again, you can sort these by relevance, and you can sort them. You can increase the number per page that you get, and increase that to 50 per page. Show you some of the features that we've added here. One of the complaints that we got consistently in the past, too many subjects, but also too much information crammed into a little bitty space here in the database list. So we wanted to make these clearer, more concise. We wanted the descriptions to have more white space, but we didn't want to eliminate the idea that, oh, well, I can still get a full and complete description of the resource. So I can go here under Britannica School, for example, and click on the More Info link, and it gives me that full description that you're used to seeing of Britannica School, along with the image. A feature that we've added for Galileo across the board is the ability to, if I'm in the database browse or the Galileo database search, I have the tools here to email this database to myself. Oh, I'm at school, but I want to use this when I get home, and I want to remember how to get to it. This direct express link here will take students directly to this database. And if they click on the email option, it'll give them the option to email it to themselves. And if they click on the send to phone option and choose the carrier, it'll let them text it to themselves. Now, one thing with the send to phone option, there are a lot of carriers. Most of the major carriers are listed here, but if you are working with a student or you yourself don't see your carrier listed, let us know with a Galileo support ticket. We can add new carriers to this. We've tried to add as many as we could think of, and there are a lot of them by default, but we do have the ability to add new carriers to this if necessary and if available. So just let us know if that happens. We've actually gotten a couple of support tickets on that already. I think people are excited to use these features to be able to send things to themselves. So that is the Galileo database search. Going back to the main page here, just to kind of start back from the beginning to show you and that's where that lives. Also, the all databases, I mentioned there is still an A to Z database in most senses of the word. This is an alphabetical list of all the databases that students have access to on a view-by-view basis. And we'll look at a couple of the other views in more detail in a few minutes, but just sticking to the Educator View here to give you the general overview. But this is just the general list of databases. And again, what we think we will be able to do is add A to Z here as one of the facets that we provide later on, so that you can view them in a full alphabetical way and click on A and B and C to view the databases. So that will give you that full and complete list. As I mentioned, this is the same list that you've had previously to all the different publications that you have access to. But if you're looking for a specific publication, I've logged in a couple of different ways, so bear with me. It's cookieing me, or not cookieing me. Still finding a few bugs here and there, so bear with us. So this is the publication search. So if I had a personal desire to look for, not customer, consumer reports, I can look for that, and I can find that publication just by searching for it or browsing for it, A to Z. And there's lots of different consumer reports publications, but I do have full text access to that quickly and easily via that Galileo publication search. So that is the same as it ever was. And then the next thing I want to share with you is the In the Spotlight area. And the In the Spotlight area is different on all of the different K-12 views. We're in the Educator View right now. So we've included resources like eBook Central, Academic Search Complete, the Professional Development Collection for Education, which has education articles, ERIC at EBSCOhost, so that if you're looking to do some personal research, or if they're student teachers, for example, on site and they need to find articles, we want to make sure that those professional development needs are well served. So we've included that in the new Educator View. And that is what you'll find there in the Spotlight. All of these are customizable. Mike White, who is with me today, is offering training on how to specifically customize the Spotlight area in his general admin training. If you're interested, I know a couple of you that are here. You have people at your district who have done training on this already. These changes are made at the district level. We still don't have school-specific sites, even though we can route people by school and let them know, hey, you're in an elementary school. We still don't have school-specific authentication to Galileo. It's still done at the system level. So in this case, at the system level, you can update these and change these depending on what you want to do with them, or if you want to have something different in there, if you wanted to replace Academic Search Complete with, a lesson plans database that you have access to, for example, you can do that. The other nice thing about these is you're not limited to just putting Galileo resources in there. If you have a local guide or a website that your teachers use frequently for sharing information about research projects, and you wanted that to be your featured item in the Spotlight, you can add that. It does not have to be a library-specific database. It can be something that really helps your institutional users to use Galileo better, or to find the information that they need more efficiently. It could be a link to your LMS. It could be any number of options there. So the last thing is just the same information that we presented before, but just we've kind of aligned it in a different way. We have the About pages. There are up to 6 links here. In the future, we hope that we'll be able to offer the districts the ability to customize these, but for now, it is just Galileo. If you need anything changed or updated here, we can change that for you. We have added a new tools area, and we've only added 1 tool so far, and we hope to be able to grow and expand that tools area. You may remember that there is the ability to, on a system by system level, to have a embedded search box, and some of you may have used that on your library webpage or in your learning management system, and that link for the embed code used to live right here next to the search. Well, that confused people, so we decided to move the embed code to this tools area at the bottom of the page. So if you want to put a Galileo search for your institution on your Galileo page, you can get that code right here, put that code into a website, and it will let you have that Galileo search on the main page. So that's an option there. On the right-hand side here, we have that Galileo News area. This includes things like our articles from our Galileo newsletter, and those are updated there in the Galileo News. And system alerts, if there are any systems issues with Galileo that are causing an outage, or a widespread outage of a few databases, for example, you would see a system alert here. System alerts are also in the support area, which I'll show you in a bit. And again, in the case of thoroughness, before we look in those different K-12 views, I want to show you the support and about Galileo areas, just so you see the echoes of things that we've had previously. We've done substantial updates. The support area is accessed at the top right of the page here. I click on support, and it takes me into what you were used to seeing previously, which is the search support area. And if I had questions about the Galileo password and I wanted to find out more information about that, I can see all the different FAQs that we have, how to access the elementary, middle, and high school views in Galileo Search, what do each of the fields in the GLRI record do, how can I access, so all the different password related, when does my Galileo password change, All of those different help articles are there. They've been substantially updated, trimmed down in many cases. They're much more readable, easier to use. They've been very well edited by the Galileo staff. So that is one aspect of the support page, which is your ability to search our support articles and our frequently asked questions. We also have the most asked questions, which are prioritized by access, how many people and how many times have they been accessed and used. We wanted to make sure that in this case, that we were pointing people back to their library. If people need research help as opposed to just technical help, we want to make sure that they find their library or school librarian so that they can do that. So this routes back to the all institutions list here at Galileo. And then the support forms themselves, we've evolved to have 2 support forms. I've worked with many of you over the years to come on site and do professional development days or other things. So if you needed for example, to request training, or if you were interested in recommending a resource to Galileo, the customer relations form, contact customer relations, is a briefer form that allows you to do that. And then it has this, what are you contacting us about, marketing, feedback, licensing, training, other things. And then we have our support form, which is for any technical issues that you're experiencing or any technical needs that you have. I can go ahead and click Contact Support Services. One of just as an example, this form is much the same as it was previously, but we found that oftentimes when we were responding to support requests, the first thing that we would always do in almost every case is we'd email back and say, well, are you seeing an error message? Can we have a screenshot of that error message? So we added the specific question, hey, are you seeing an error message, to kind of cut down on the time. And then also in the past, you could attach 1 file, but now you can attach up to 3 files here in the attachment area of the support forms. So we've made some serious improvements there as well. So that is what we've done for support. I'm going to take a pause right here. I've covered a lot of ground, and the last thing I want to spend time on is, 2 things, the About Galileo pages, and then finally the different K-12 views. But Mike, are there any questions that are coming through at this point?
No questions yet.
Okay, well, if you're typing away at a question, please continue to do so. I hope this is all loud and clear so far for you. So I do want to point to the About Galileo pages. People, I think, in the past were used to coming to the top right and finding almost all the information about Galileo there. We wanted to make the navigation more friendly to the user, but we still wanted to make sure that librarians found what they needed. So you'll find a lot of good information now in the footer of the Galileo page, including the About Galileo area, which I'll go into in depth in a moment, but also our programs like the Digital Library of Georgia, governance, community, tools and training. But all of these different areas are also listed on the About Galileo page. One other thing I want to point to in the footer before we move on is the redesign feedback. That is specifically for feedback on the new Galileo redesign. We'd love to hear from you. If you have suggestions or ideas for us to think about as we continue to improve Galileo, that's one thing we're going to do. You know, Galileo sort of sat stagnant for a lot of years, and we want to move towards cycles of continuous improvement with Galileo. So the more feedback that we get, the more great ideas that people have about how we can do this better, the more that we can react to that and improve the site over time. So don't hesitate to give us that feedback as you're using the new site and working on things. So just quickly, of the About Galileo area, I'll just browse through that with you. The main page has information about the initiative, but then we have drop downs at the top that give you lots of information. The About area specifically, initiative, mission, history, all of that is included there, data and statistics. Programs like the Galileo Search, which is what we're calling Galileo now, Affordable Learning Georgia, Digital Library of Georgia. Governance, so if you're participating on RACL or, on the Galileo Steering Committee or one of our subcommittees, the information on that is included there. We've also included our policies, like password policies and access policies is under the governance area under policies. Community, if you need access to the newsletter or the Galileo calendar, you can get that information there. And finally, the tools and training area. This has got our marketing toolkit. If you ever need images for promoting library resources or Galileo resources on your website or on a learning management system page or on an email, you can generally find that there. Our presentation and materials area, if I go out and do a presentation at a K-12 library for Staff Development Day, I'll always add it to the presentations and materials area. Our Galileo statistics page, which is pretty much the same as it has been. Not a lot of upgrades and updates there yet, but I think we'll be continuing to work to improve our statistics as part of our overall improvement efforts. And finally, training. The training that you are attending now, the recording for that will be posted. Previous trainings are posted here as well. So there's a lot of information about training. We've included older Galileo tutorials. We are trying to update our tutorials. It takes a lot of work to update tutorials. I have done some updates, like I have a new tutorial on Galileo search and the Wayfinder, the K-12 views, finding the right database. All of the ones that you see here at the top are new video tutorials to guide users as they begin working with the new Galileo portal. We've added vendor tutorials on specific resources from Britannica to EBSCO resources and beyond. We hope to add some community tutorials. If you're adding tutorials locally, if you're doing videos or other things, you'd like us to share those, we're happy to see those and to see if we want to include them on the community tutorials page. Live online training, again, we're working to put in recordings right at the moment, recorded training, and then technical training for staff. So if you have somebody at the system level who would like to update your Galileo Spotlight areas, then Mike is doing that training, and you can review that training and what it covers here. And there's also registration links for those trainings here in the technical training for library staff area. So we tried to make it much easier for libraries to access those trainings, tutorials, and other information via the About page, tools, and training area. So the last thing I want to share with you, and I see it looks like there's a 1 in the chat, Mike, and I'm just going to check in before I go and do views if there are any questions right now.
I'm not seeing any questions.
Cool. Maybe a chat. Mike and I did meetings back to back, so it might be a chat from our previous meeting. So bear with us. Just being thorough, Mike.
Okay.
So the last thing I want to share with you is just to go into some better depth on the K-12 view. So we're starting here with the Educator View. And as I mentioned, if you're logging in via the Galileo password on with the password option on the main page, it's going to route you to a screen where you'll see this choice. If you're already logged in and you need to change views, as I'm doing now, you just simply click on Change Views, and it gives me the option of choosing the elementary, middle, high school, or educator view. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the elementary school view just to show you what we've done there and talk a little bit about the work. We have greatly cut down on the total number of resources. When we went digging around into what we had set up in the EBSCO Discover search, which is what drives this search for K-12, there had been some things added over time that just didn't need to be there to serve the elementary audience. I can't remember some specifics, but there were things like the public library ebook collection, which is a huge ebook collection that is mostly not targeted toward K-12 kids, K-5 kids. So we took that out, and so we're hoping that cuts down on the amount of clutter, at least somewhat. We'll continue to work and improve those types of things.
Russell, you cut out.
Was we just did a lot of improvements to the
You're still sounding a little bit like a robot.
I'm getting a bad network quality error message. Let me see if I can resolve that and just let everybody know if you can hear me.
Russell, I don't know if you're still there, but you may need to disconnect and reconnect. Sorry, everyone. Hopefully he'll be able to reconnect shortly. Sorry. Oh, technology. Hey, hopefully he'll be able to reconnect here in a second. I can. Yeah, he was. I would take over, but then he may show up, and don't believe he had too much else to show. Hey, Alice and Virginia, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, right. I'm not sure what's going on with Russell's connection, but I'll just share my screen real quick and just see if maybe I can. Did either one of you have any questions? Anything you wanted me to?
Not yet. Once I get in and start moving around, I probably will, but.
Okay. I just got a text from Russell. He said he can't get back in. He wanted me to show you the views. Okay, let me do that. So let me respond to him.
I know Russell said. No, I was going to say, I know Russell said at some point we'll be able to, by school, go ahead in and do the spotlight. Right now, we don't really have a media specialist who's our coordinator. I mean, we have a coordinator, but we're kind of stuck under technology, and she's got so much else to do. So we don't have a county-wide one. Do you know about when we'll be able to do that? Because I'd love that feature.
Okay, yeah. Well, even if you don't have a district contact right now that can do it for the entire district, we're happy to make those changes for you in the interim. So if if there's particular resources that you would like to see in the spotlight area, we're happy to make those changes for you. And let's see, right now I'm logged in under high school. So in addition to resources, if and this goes for any of the views, if there's not only can you add resources, you can also add events. So let's say you're having a special like summer program of some sort, and you wanted to highlight that, you can also add that to the spotlight area as well. Or if you wanted to add, keep in mind it has to be at a district level. So if you had, Destiny, if there's some of you have Destiny One search, if you wanted to add that, and it's not for a link for a particular school, but if it's a district link, you could add that here. The only thing that we can't add right now is widgets. So if there's like a chat widget or any sort of widget that has code, it has to be like the description has to be text. So that might be something we'll be able to do in the future as actual like web widgets. But yeah, you can customize it for all the different views for elementary, middle, high, and then educator. So all these can be customized differently. And then I forget if Russell showed this already, but I did want to show if you wanted to add the Galileo search box to your media center page or in an LMS or elsewhere, you can do that. You would first go to the school view that you wanted to get the search box code for. So let's say I want to go middle school. Scroll down to the bottom, click on embedding a Galileo search box. And this will give you the unique code for middle school. For searching Galileo. And so this essentially is the same, the search box is essentially the same as adding this top box. So it's for searching articles and ebook titles, that sort of thing. So it will also prompt students in, it would prompt them to enter their Galileo password before they would be taken to the results. So we do make sure that they're authenticated properly when they're using that external search box. And
is that like the express links?
I mean, the express links. Let me show you. The express links are for linking directly to a particular resource. So if I go to all databases and then click on express link. So this is an express link for, well, this is a free resource, but this goes for any resource. This is for the All About Birds resource. But if, let's say, you want an Animal Kingdom or Annuals of American History, this is a link that you can put on your Media Center page anywhere. And when a student clicks on it, it will prompt them to log in with their Galileo password if they're accessing remotely. And then if they're at school, it will authenticate them with your school IP, so they won't be prompted for a password. And the benefit of this is it ensures that students are authenticated properly. And then if the link changes, we'll just do that on the back end, and you don't have to worry about updating all the links where the link may be out in the wild. We just update it once, and then the express link is updated behind the scenes.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed because I do a lot of express links on my webpage.
Okay. And one thing that we have changed about the express links is you may notice that it includes this additional parameter. This inst equals. And what that is it will work exactly the same as it always has for right now. And then eventually the K-12 schools are going to be going live with Open Athens, our new authentication. We're still setting that up for the private academics right now, and then public libraries, and then K-12 will be the last group. And so once that is in place, the benefit of using these express links with this additional parameter is it will route you properly through Open Athens. So instead of asking for the password, I'm not sure how K-12 is going to be set up right now. It's going to be a little while, but with the way it works with the academics is when you have that express link with that parameter, it will automatically take you to your single sign-on for your school. So you won't have to search for your school in the Wayfinder. It'll just take you straight to the login page. So it'll save a step when you have to authenticate.
Okay, I'm going to be doing professional development next week for Galileo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a little while about all that stuff with express links. So I just won't mention it right now. Is that?
Oh, is Russell back?
I don't want to give them too much information.
Sorry about that, everybody. That's a great question. I think you can share them with teachers anytime if they work. They're going to work as they do. If they want to know how to put something specifically on their their LMS page or their website, it depends on the pace that you're teaching them this at is what I would say. And how, because we know we're presenting a lot today. Obviously, a lot of the changes we've made. So I would say it's about your pace with that, but I mean they're functional. You may have seen some of our updates to the listserv. They were problematic last week, but things are working better there now. So I wouldn't hesitate to share it with them if you think they're ready for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my take.
And Russell, before you rejoined, I explained that even if a school district doesn't have a district level contact for managing in the spotlight area, then we're still happy to make those changes on their behalf.
Yep. For sure.
And then, and I also explained the different types of things that can be added in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give you back the?
No, I mean, if you got through did you get through views? I mean, we're past the end of time, so I don't want to hold people up, but I apologize profusely for this is the issue when you're working at home, is you never know what's going to happen with your network during the day. So I apologize for that. It dropped out completely.
I did just show
that's what.
Oh, sorry. I did show the selecting your view, and then I showed them how to get a Galileo search box for their particular view. I explained that. I wasn't sure if there was what specifically about the views you wanted to mention.
There were a couple of things I wanted to mention. The elementary school view is just based on the feedback that we got. Mike, if you'll go to the elementary view.
Okay.
You can continue to drive.
Okay.
And if you'll scroll down to or scroll up to where there isn't a database search page, the feedback that we got, we only list about 7 or 8 databases for elementary, or you may have more depending on your school. So.
Russell, you cut out again.
In the database list that isn't on the main page here.
You cut out for a good 15 seconds.
This is just horrible. Sorry, I apologize. What I was saying, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The main thing I wanted to show was how the database list is we don't have the database search on the elementary page, but the database list is there. Just because there are only about 7 or 8, depending on the institution, databases in the elementary list, so that all databases list will give you that list of everything, which is pretty brief for elementary. So that, there's a few more things there for, that one's provided by the institution there at Henry County. So just wanted to point that out. There's plenty of content there for them. Our K-12 librarians on our Galileo Development Advisory Committee indicated that they didn't feel like the K-5 students would be ready for that database search, and they would rather than just browse the content that's available to them. So that was our decision there. Other than that, I think Mike hit on the details of it very well. Is the search is different, and we've revised the search on every view. Mike also pointed out that you do have a different search box on every view, so that you can access that and get all your different search boxes for the different views as well. So if you wanted to put specifically the middle school search on, you can. So thank you for covering that, Mike. And I apologize that we're so disjointed and we're a little bit over time, but those are the main things I wanted to cover related to views, and we welcome any additional questions that you all have, and we'll stay a few minutes until we get everything answered. Still so sorry about the network issues here. And if you need to get going, please feel free. I will send out the recording, and thank you, Mike, for grabbing everything and keeping it going. And we'll get you also the slides. That's another thing. If you would like to have, I have more detailed slides than this. I just haven't been using them. I'll be sending them out to everybody, and you're welcome to integrate those into your presentation. I don't have any qualms about you borrowing from me if those will help you when you're sharing this with your teachers. Absolutely.
Thank you, Russell and Mike. That's been great. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. We appreciate the good questions and good feedback.
And also, I go ahead and mention that if you're interested in adding any locally purchased resources that the entire district has access to, we can also add those for you. And that's something that you're interested in. Just submit a ticket to us with what the information about the resource. And again, we just have to make sure that the entire district has access, not just one or two schools.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to get going. I've got another Zoom meeting.
Isn't it one to the other all the time? For all
yes, that's all it's been all week long.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Mike, for pitching in and getting us through it. And again, my apologies, and we'll look forward to hearing from you all. Please share your feedback as you have it, and thank you again for coming. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks.